typicality within this as well. And then question 5, it's going to be source F suggests that, and there'll be a statement, a hypothesis. How far do you agree with this interpretation? Use your own knowledge, sources, they'll give you 3 sources to look at, and any other sources you might find helpful to explain your answer. Now, the first thing you need to do is go to source F and state what the interpretation is. So find some evidence to back up what they're saying. So you need specific examples. And then you're doing a two-handed approach. So on the one hand, source, whatever it is, agrees. So you're going to deal with whichever sources agree. And you might find one source there's a bit of agreement and a bit of disagreement. Then you've got to provide some examples from that source. So pull out of that source some direct quotes about the hypothesis, about the statement. And then you must bring in your own knowledge. You are exploring that interpretation. You've got to do this in depth. Then move on to the other side. On the other hand, source, whatever it is, disagrees with interpretation. For example, direct quotes needed. You've got to interrogate those sources, mine them for examples, and then bring in your own knowledge to support or challenge what it is. You've got to do the on the one hand, on the other hand bit really, really well, in depth, in detail. Really evaluate that, whatever the statement is in the question. Then you move on to looking at the NOP, but you'll only get marks for NOP if your evaluation of on the one hand, on the other hand is really, really good. So do not spend ages doing this next section unless you are certain that your on the one hand, on the other hand is really, really decent. Okay, so in order to reach a judgment, I must consider the strength of the evidence. I believe source X is or is not partly reliable because, and the same, exactly the same as we did in the reliability NOP section. So look at the nature, origin and purpose, and then you've got to sum it up with a conclusion. So in conclusion, I partially agree or partially disagree with the interpretation because, and there you're just summing up your arguments. Okay, but stress again, you have got the bulk of your answer must be on the contents of the source and your own knowledge, evaluating that statement in the question. And NOP is only used when you're satisfied that you've got a really decent answer for the sources that agree, the sources that disagree. Now make sure you leave enough time for question 5, but I would suggest that you do the questions in the order that they come because it's helping you to build up a picture of the overall issues.